today an impressive and affordable Super 35 cinema camera that costs half as much and takes almost any lens you already have, no matter what brand. In the world of somewhat affordable, full-featured cinema cameras, you've got stuff like this. This is the Sony FS5. It's a Super 35 sensor. If you're into full frame, there's the FX6. If you're a Canon person, there's the C300, 500. I'm talking about ones you can still get brand new cinema cameras. But there's one that most people have not heard of, which is a lot more affordable and has just as many features. And that is this one here. This is the JVC LS300. It's a full-blown cinema camera with the same features, everything that the other ones have, but it's a lot less expensive. This is less than half the price. This thing, brand new, costs $2,000. And before you say, that's a lot of money, the FS5 is $4,800. That's more than twice the price of this one. The FX6 is $6,000. The latest Canon C500, forget it. Now, before you say, well, what about the FX3 and the FX30? Those are not full-featured cinema cameras. Those are pared down, minimalized ones. They don't have all the buttons and dials and all the things that these things have. So this thing is quite the deal. Now, this is the interesting thing about this one here. This is the one that makes this thing so interesting. It has a Super 35 sensor, just like the FS5 and the Canon C series, but the lens mount on the front is micro four thirds. And now you're going to go, huh? I thought you said it's a Super 35 sensor. Yes, it is. There is a lot more lens choices that are affordable because JVC keeps the consumer in mind. It wants to make it affordable for people. Micro Four Thirds lenses are really good. Look how small they are. Look how tiny these lenses are. They're much more compact, much more lightweight, much more affordable, and they're really good quality. I'm going to show you some samples of this thing in a minute here. You probably already have Micro Four Thirds lenses, and look how small and lightweight they are. So look at this. Let's take a 25 1.4. Let's put that on here. Look at that. It's kind of funny to see this tiny lens on this big body. The reason these cinema cameras have these big bodies isn't just because they need to put a lot of buttons all over it, but because it also lets the thing run all day without overheating. You can literally run this thing for 10 hours and it won't overheat. Now, by the way, this also comes with a handle with the XLR inputs, and that's for those of you who are obsessed with handles and XLRs and manly looking stuff. Yes, this has that too. I just left it in the box because I'm the exact opposite of everyone else. Everybody tries to make themselves look impressive like a big Hollywood production with the big monitors and the power packs and the matte boxes and the handles and the XLRs and all that stuff. I'd strip all that stuff off. I just want the camera body and the lens and make this thing as small as possible. I like small. I like lightweight. And this thing is pretty lightweight. Now, Micro Four Thirds does have more professional lenses. They have big ones like this. This is a 40 to 150. And you can put that on there if you want. I don't like big heavy lenses, but here's what it looks like when you put this big 40 to 150 on there at f2.8. This is what it looks like. Of course, next up, the lens that a lot of people think is a great Micro Four Thirds lens is the 42.5. So let's put that on there. So here's what it looks like when you have a 42.5 on there. It looks pretty good. Now here's where it gets interesting. Okay, here's the lens. This lens is over $1,000. Okay, this is one of the more expensive Micro Four Thirds lenses, but I'm going to show you this. Watch what happens when you get this lens, which is a 45mm, almost the same as this. But look at this. This is an Olympus 45 1.2. And lo, it looks hilarious, this tiny little lens on this big giant body. But check this out. Here's a shot taken with the little tiny 45 1.8. This little tiny consumer lens. So let's look at these side by side. Here's the big 42.5 that I showed you a moment ago. And here's the little tiny 45 1.8. Again, here's the big 42.5. And here's the little 45 1.8. There's hardly any difference. And look at how tiny this lens is. You don't need big giant honking lenses. Micro Four Thirds makes really good lenses, and they're small and affordable. So let's take this 25 here. Here's a little 25. Here's some shots taken with the 25. It looks good. I mean, it's what can I say? I mean, they all look good. It looks really good. Let's take the Olympus 17 1.2, set it at 2.5. I'm going to make all of these around f2, so there's kind of fair comparison here. This is the 17. That's a really good lens, a nice wide lens. That looks really good. Here's a really good looking lens. This is an Olympus 75 1.8. It's nice and shiny and silver. Here's what the shot looks like. That's the cool thing about micro Four Thirds lenses. They're nowhere near as big and heavy as APS-C, Super 35, or full frame lenses. So that's what that looks like. And now for something really funny. This little tiny Pancake lens here. This is a 14 2.5. Look how tiny this is. It's like a lens cap almost. So I'm going to put this thing on here. Look at how, you can't even tell there's a lens on the camera. Now look at the shot. Look at how cool this looks. This lens is so small you can't even tell it's on the camera, but look at the look you can get. So that's the cool thing about this camera, is you don't have to buy expensive lenses to go with a cinema camera. A lot of you already have micro Four Thirds lenses. It has a swivel viewfinder. Now the downsides to this is the viewfinder and the LCD screen are not that great. They don't give you a good representation of the quality of what you're getting. So yeah, you can put a screen on top with an HDMI if you want, but that's one of the downsides to this. Some people have an issue with the cheap plastic construction of this. JVC tries to make their cameras as affordable as possible, and that's one of the places they make that more affordable. Is they have. I like cheap plastic. I don't know what it is. I don't like heavy-duty, rugged metal stuff. I like plastic stuff. I don't know why. I just love cheap plastic stuff. I don't know why, but the camera itself is really good. I mean, this is a professional quality camera. It does 422, it's 4K. It can do 120 frames per second, but not in 4K. It's got a lot of really, it's SDI out, HDMI, all that stuff. It's got all the good stuff. This thing's been sitting on my shelf for years collecting dust. I've always wanted to make a video about it. I just never got around to it because there's just enough hours in the day and there's so much going on. I've always wanted to make a video about this, and I finally did. But I never use it. So just like my Canon cameras, they just sit around and I never use them. I'm a Sony guy. So it's a shame to just have it sit there and not be used because it is such a really good camera. I could sell it on eBay, but you know me, I want to share the joy of photography. There's a lot of people out there that cannot afford something like, even though this is half the price of the other cameras comparable to this, a lot of people can't afford $2,000. So I am going to give this away. It's just, I didn't want to let it go because I've been hanging on to it because I just love it so much. I hardly ever use it. Just a few times where I have used it in some videos, but I haven't really used it that much and not enough to warrant keeping it. It is a good camera, so I'm going to share the joy. You can enter the giveaway at marcuspicks.giveawayenter.com. That's marcuspicks.giveawayenter.com. And I'll pick the winner within the next week or so. You know, make somebody happy. Please only enter if you really know how to use stuff like this and you could use it. Don't get it to sell it on eBay or something like that. I mean, come on. Don't do the bad karma thing because it'll come back to you. You know, this is something for somebody that could really use this and appreciate it, and I hope somebody really will appreciate this because this is a good camera. So marcuspicks.giveawayenter.com, and anyway, so yeah. Photography's fun and it should be shared. So I will see you in the next video. Until then, have a good one.